Cheech here, back in the saddle behind old gray vise. People ask me all the time, what color is my favorite complex twist bugger? We're going to show you right now.
Yeah, that's a big brown throw.
Okay, it's been a hot second since we've been all complex twisty all up in this. Okay, so I've fished this fly a lot, and it's one of my #1 confidence flies. But people ask me all the time, what's your #1 color of the complex twist? And it's black and copper. And I'll show you how I like to build it. This is probably the first color that I tie on. I've been fishing this one for probably 10 years, but we haven't really done a proper video on how it looks. Not on purpose, it's just I guess we got busy with other stuff. Alright, so let's jump in. 2461 or the XT350 hook. It's a 3X long straight shank. You guys know this one. And you can see I've got a slotted cone on it. Slot's not super necessary. Sometimes it helps getting it over the edge. Actually, I'm not going to put thread on that yet. Brig, I haven't been in here for 3 months and it shows. Alright, the first thing I need to do is throw some lead on there, because as you can see, this is annoying. It's kind of fun to do while you're on a video and people are focusing on their screen and you know they're probably squinting right now. But we're going to take some lead. This is 030 lead. And I like to do it this way. Just hold it with your finger right here. We're going to do approximately 9 to 17 wraps of lead. Wiggle it real tight. It'll break right off. I'm all fingers for just a second when I do the other side, but as you can see, pretty clean lead breakoffs. And I'm just going to do that and push that cone to the front, just like that. So we have a little slot, and I put the slot on the bottom. At this point, I'm going to super glue that so that it doesn't wiggle loose while we tie, and then I'll attach my thread. You can use 140 or 210 on this. I think I got some 210 strung up. Black, brown, whatever color you like. It doesn't really matter because your thread's not even going to show on this fly if you do it right. Okay, so a two-tone tail is a must, and we're going to find some marabou, and I've kind of found some marabou, prepped it, and I want long fibers off the stem. Now, if I pull the fibers off the stem, it moves a little bit more in the water, and I've farmed out a couple good brown and a couple good black ones. You can do this with all different shades of brown, from everything from dark brown to copper brown, but I just like the color together. So I'm going to peel off the fibers from that marabou chunk, clump them together in one finger, or in one hand, and then I'll just preen those all out, and it should look like that. Typically I'll put the lighter color on the bottom. I don't know if it matters much on this one because it's not really a bait fish or anything. And you can see how the marabou's a little bit uneven back there. That's fine. It's going to help it swim really nicely. So once I've trimmed my marabou like this, instead of tying it all the way to the lead and making sure there's not a big bump, I can take this clump and pull it with my fingernail like this and clean out a lot of the marabou that was on the stems there. That actually makes really cool dubbing, by the way. And once I do that, if I tie that little clump down, watch how much this is going to compress down as I wrap forward. So as I wrap forward, it wraps down to almost no bulk. So you're going to maintain a pretty clean fly. And honestly, it doesn't matter a ton because there's so much bulk to this fly. This part specifically gets covered up quite a bit. All right. And there, you never know how many pieces of marabou you need to use to do this. Sometimes you can do it in one. Sometimes you need to call some reinforcements off the bench. But we'll see. This is one piece of black. I farmed it out just like I did the other one. And we're like that. I think that looks pretty good. So get a length, and then I'll trim that. And do the same thing we did last time. Again, if I pinch that down, wrap it forward, very little bulk, and we're ready to tie some more stuff in. Let's build a little ramp here. It will help when we wrap that forward. And we're going to finish with our thread back here. So as you can see, I stopped maybe a little bit too far forward right here, so I'm going to take that back just a few more turns. If I wrap that back to the very extreme edge of the shank, it will prevent fouling a lot. This fly doesn't foul a ton anyway because it's so bulky, but you know, you never know. So here we've got some UV polar chenille. I think this one's called, what is it, Brig Rusty Copper?
Rusty copper.
Rusty Copper. Like, that either means a police officer who's ready to retire, or the color that Cheech made Brig go downstairs and try to get like 4 times. I don't know if you know this about me, but I can't walk, so Brigham took the wrath today. Anyway, this is the right color. So I think it's rusty brown, rusty copper. Rusty copper. Okay, look on the recipe. Don't listen to me. And we're just going to tie that in, and we'll find a nice big old piece of black schlappen. So black schlappen always looks, or schlappen in general, just kind of looks nasty sometimes when you get it, but that's fine. This is actually a pretty decent piece. And we're going to leave all this fluff on the bottom intact because we might use that up near the head. All right, so we're going to take this, tie these in here tip first, and wrap it forward. And I guess at this point I can kind of cover up the lead. You can see the super glue dried up nice. You can see what I just did. If I keep wrapping forward, what happens is the little notch on this slotted bead tries to catch you. So this is where bobbin control is critical. Keep your bobbin, parallel to your hook shank, and you won't have issues like I just did. All right, so put both of those pieces of the feather and the chenille together, and we're going to pull out a really cool tool called a gator grip tool. So this tool is designed for this fly. I used to make these out of shrink wrap and electrical supplies, but now we have this design. It's a pretty cool design. So anyway, I'm going to take the feather and the chenille and clamp it in this. Let's see, I'll do that. Okay, so this is kind of hard to see in this angle, but if you go to our skill builders and look up Skill Builder 12, Brig tells me he might even put a link up somewhere, like up there somewhere. Check it out, and we will show you exactly how this tool works and how to get this to work. It's a fun fly to tie. Okay, so we'll twist that up, but not too much. Maybe just a little bit here and there. And as you can see, I just let that rest on my finger so it twists up nice. Once I do that, I take a little comb. I'm going to take the comb and gently brush it out, and I probably need like 3 more turns. Release any fibers that twist up too much, but don't take too much time. And if you do it right, you have a really cool brush that looks like this. So from here, I'm going to cheat and use my rotary feature, and I'm going to use not necessarily mashing, touching turns. I'm going to space it out a little bit as I go forward. The thicker your fly is through here, the longer your loop is going to need to be. So if you keep it thin, you can get a longer fly out of this. Once I get up to the head, I'll do 1 turn to kind of mash it right in that cone, and I'll trim that off, get my thread out of the way, and this is our excess. From there, we'll chuck it. All right, so I always say you can't judge a fly until it's finished. Like, this is ugly as it gets. You would have thought that these were Brigham's hands tying right in front of you right now, but guess what? I assure you that they are not. All right. So once we do this, I'm going to take my comb and I'm going to brush that out again. And then I'll grab all this junk and trap that down. Okay, so you can see we're starting to look a little more like a streamer. And if you have a pretty hollow body, like you can see all the way down in there, this stuff's going to move really nicely, but also keep bulk. And so to finish this off, we're going to put a little bit of a bulkier head. This is why I think this fish as well as like a sculpin and some things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Bruiser Blend dubbing in black copper. you can even just get black as well, because even though it says black copper, there's not enough copper usually in that. So we're going to take some ice dub, and we're going to take a little pinch of black bruiser blend, about like that. We're going to take a little pinch of copper ice dub, and we're just going to take those and we're just going to preen them back and forth until it looks like this. Okay, it'll take you about 37 seconds. Okay, so not a huge deal. Okay, so once you have that, grab a healthy clump of this bruiser blend, and you're going to kind of want to build it into kind of a tall accordion ladder looking thing worth of dubbing. See how I did that? I just kind of spread that all out, and I have kind of a blanket of dubbing. It stayed together pretty well. Just mash that down onto the bead and hold it in place, and I'm going to do one turn and then another full turn and catch and find where the cone is. I can feel that. If I pull tight, it wants to go off the front of the cone. See that? It wants to go forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull tight as I slide that thread tension over on the back of the cone and then pull forward. And what that does is it should lock that dubbing right up against the cone, and then even these next couple turns will kind of lock that in place. Okay, so there we have our dubbing in place. It looks terrible, so we bring out our trusty brush. Okay, make sure we've got it all dialed, and from here all we've got to do is throw a whip finish on this, and we're good to go. One cool thing about these slotted cones, well, you got to watch out your whip finish too, or else it'll travel on you just like that. But the cool thing is, see how that thread comes right out of the slot? So I can just put my fingers up here, or my scissors up there. Scissors and fingers for me are the same, right, Brig?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then you can take your head cement, super glue, or whatever you like, and you're going to just jam that right down in there. So super durable, it's not going anywhere. So one other variation I do on that is a black matte bead. So you can see cone. It's a cone. Okay. You can say it, Brigham. People need to know that you correct me all the time.
It's a cone.
Sorry about that. Nobody needs ASMR Brigham in their life. There you go. Buy the matte black cone as well. It looks awesome. It fishes great. But there you go. My favorite color of complex twist bugger.